I'm Rebecca King Ferraro.
And I'm Michael Sean Breeden, and you're listening to Conversations on Dance.
Hi, Mikey.
Hello, Rebecca. We are reunited in the same time zone.
I was just thinking, when were we last in the same time zone?
I don't know. Probably a long time ago, because I was just never
Somewhere.
here. I was always somewhere.
You're always somewhere. Well, we decided that we'd have a little coffee, settle in, catch up. There's so much to talk about and so much to hear. And I really apologize for looking like this to see you. You must think that I don't respect you at all to not put makeup on.
No, I mean, I'm fresh off a boat. Literally, I just came from the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island with my family. It was very informative, but
so fun,
so crowded and hot, and it's we're having some sort of heat wave here, but it doesn't feel, it's not that bad yet. I prefer it to the cold and the raininess of Amsterdam. The last 2 weeks I was there, it was I think it was in the 50s. That's what I would assess. But Celsius, who knows what that is? They'd just be like, today is 10. And I'd be like, yes.
10, just 10.
I don't know what that means.
Oh my God, that's so good. I would kind of give her that right now. It's been so hot here, but we're not here to hear about that. We want to hear about what you've been doing and what you've been up to. You and I have texted, but we really haven't. We kept hoping we'd be able to connect earlier, and we haven't until now. So I want to hear all about what you've been up to. Take us from the beginning.
Oh, I don't, because when we did our last one, it was before I left. So I guess we didn't talk about anything at all.
Well, we recorded while you were gone quite a few times, but we were chatting with other people. So the last time we talked just us was, before you left.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so I think I've talked some about what I was doing leading up to this. This ballet was something that we performed. We're original cast members of in Miami, and had met.
Ballet called?
It's called The Fairy's Kiss.
And who's the choreographer?
And it's by Alexei Ratmansky. And we re-released an episode about the premiere just a while ago. So if anyone wants to check that out, with Doug Fullington, who's a scholar and historian and expert on dance history. So that was very interesting for me. I re-listened. I don't like listening to the podcast because I hate the sound of my own voice, like every rational human being.
Absolutely.
And being that I don't have to edit it, I am gifted that possibility, but you do have to listen to your own voice. So I'm sorry.
That's why today, before we started recording, I said, I'm not editing this, so let's not mess up.
It has to be perfect. Yeah, it has to be perfect. Yeah. So, okay. So we were part of the process, the original process. And then it was originally supposed to go to National Ballet of Canada and didn't because of the pandemic, I believe. But I think this story is cute. So I wanted to tell it, even if I already have, because we've talked about this in starts and fits, but I just don't recall exactly. But the thing is, so this was early on when it was supposed to go at the National Ballet of Canada was sometime around 2019 or 2020, right? And so I had only done 2 stagings for Justin, but I was in my ask for things era. So I wrote Alexei on Facebook and said, would you consider me for this? That's something I'm starting to do. This is my my passion post performing career, and I would love it if you consider me or something. He didn't open it ever. And then, all these years later, I think at least it was in the last fall, he wrote me and he said that he was opening Facebook to contact me to ask me to stage Fairy's Kiss. And he saw that I had written him, 4 years prior asking, or 5 years prior. So that felt like a nice, full circle, not full circle, but like a fateful thing.
You know what I like about that is yes, you were in that phase of asking for things and putting yourself out there. But what's also really cool about that is that he thought of you anyway on his own. You know what I mean? He was going to you and then was like, oh, this is so great to see he's already interested in it. So that must also make you feel good.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that was such a shock. I was so surprised. It was not on my radar at all. So I was ecstatic when that happened. And that was in September or so. But then the reality set in that I had to do a 45-minute Stravinsky ballet with 36 dancers. think it's 36. Yeah, 36 dancers. And all by myself. Just
In
it was gonna be,
Amsterdam.
yeah, it was gonna be indubitably the hardest thing I've ever done as a stager. So then I had to just get on it. I started really, really early. Um, Joni Latham, who was our ballet mistress, gave me her notes that were very helpful, in particular with counts. And so I had to, like, that's always what I like to do first, and make a map, have a framework of the counts.
Mhm.
Because it also just helps you to organize the ballet in your head too. Like, I have this sheet out and I can see, like, okay, these are the sections and this is how long it is, and these are, it just helps you to sort of subdivide things. And yeah, for me, I can't teach a ballet without being able to teach counts. There are some small parts in it where I was like, we're just going to sing this because it's very dicey, and it wasn't that imperative. It's not like we're all doing steps to it. It's like something that maybe it's a mime sequence, or it's like
Mm.
something very minor is happening. I'd be like, okay, we can sing this because it's too weird for me.
Ah,
Um,
that makes
but
sense.
yes, I did all the counting, and then I started teaching myself the parts that I didn't know. I was lucky because you and I both, we learned the corps de ballet and the demi soloist. So especially with the corps de ballet, which we were, in the first group of, we knew that.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, so then after that, I reached out to Renan Sordero and Natalia Arja, who were original principal dancers in the ballet, for their help. Just trying to get, the best idea of the ballet possible before I went, knowing that Alexei was still coming. So he came
Mhm.
for the last 4 weeks. I was there for 3 weeks by myself. Um, so yeah, I knew it wasn't all going to be completely on my shoulders, but at the same time, I did have to stage the whole thing alone. So,
Mhm.
so I got as ready as I could, and I have to say, I'm very glad I did not stage this at National Ballet of Canada in 2020 after having done two stagings. I would have, I don't know, like, walked into the Canadian tundra and never come back, because it was a very daunting task, but everything that I had done led me here and prepared me, so I didn't feel scared. Like, even though the first day it's tough when you walk into a room and it's like at least 50 people in there, because I start at
Mhm.
the beginning of the ballet, which is everyone is in, so that's 32 people are in that opening section, plus covers and alternates. And so, yeah, at least 50 dancers in the studio, more likely more, 60. And then, I had three ballet masters working on it because that's how big the ballet was. So I had someone, Sandrine Leroy. She was in charge of the corps de ballet, and she's a choreologist, and
Amazing.
which is, for, in layman's terms, it's a dance notator, someone who can write and read dance notation. And yes, so Sandrine was in charge of the corps de ballet, and then we had the men and women divided up, um, amongst two ballet masters, Joseph,
Wow.
who was a longtime male principal at Dutch National, and Larissa Lejeunila. I think I'm butchering her last name, but Larissa was a huge star, danced at the Mariinsky, was in the very first Balanchine productions at the Mariinsky, which were Scotch
Wow.
Symphony and Theme and Variations. She did Theme Principal and she did Scotch Girl. Yeah, and so but so, I also have to get those three people in my,
I trust you, really,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's just like that experience, the first day experience, is just always wild. You just don't know how anyone is going to respond to you, and you
Mhm.
just have to be yourself and trust
Mhm.
that you've done the work. And I think it went pretty well. And then I ended up, like, just really loving, especially, not especially, I love the dancers so much, but the artistic team, having three people with me kind of all the time that you could trust and defer to, because it was such an overwhelming task. So
Mhm.
I can't, the ballet is so complex. In certain points there are, I think, four different things happening. So it's, Stravinsky's complicated rhythms, and then you
Mhm.
have four entirely different, unrelated choreographic sequences happening simultaneously.
At one time.
So I
Hmm.
had having those people with me who I really loved their taste and their approach in the studio, and we were all just so different. It felt so balanced and just fun. Like Joseph is super patient and a wonderful partner, and he could help with things that were a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Balancing partnering. There's several sequences, several hard lifts in this ballet that are just things that would not appear in a balancing ballet, like
Mm-hmm.
what we call a torch
Torch
lift,
lift. Yeah, I
where
remember that.
a man is like support, like a woman is basically seated on high. Man has his arm fully extended above his head, one arm only, and the woman is seated in the palm of his hand. So that's she's looking evoking a torch, like
Right.
holding a torch. Like I don't know how to do that. Like I'm like, if these dancers can't do it, they're on their own now. But
I mean, and
it's
that's
like,
something you don't see very often either. Like, right? I mean, just in
well, in
general,
I think here, there rather in
they do it all the
Amsterdam,
time.
yeah, it's like really easy part of their bread and butter,
Okay.
and that's why like Alexei is so broad in his influences and the scope of what he does. So yes, he loves Balanchine, but he also has all of his you know his years at the Bolshoi, and then he has all these Bornevillian influences from his time at the Royal Danish, and so it's just very broad. And I cannot possibly cover all of that. So Joseph was amazing in that regard,
That's
and just
great.
always knew like he just was exceptional in the partnering stuff. And then Larissa, I love. She just so has the most wicked sense of humor, but can be and does this like the thing like your favorite teachers do, where like it's out of love. Should
Mhm.
just be like, Ellie, no, why you do that? You look stupid. It's crazy. And that's the worst accent ever. But and then she'd like do this imitation,
Right.
and then but then it's like, Ellie, most beautiful dancer. We have, we this is how we help her, and it's like
Right,
so
right.
loving.
I know exactly
If,
what you
if
mean.
that sounded toxic at all, that was a very
With
then it's a
love.
misinterpretation of what Larissa actually is to me, because I just loved her, and like it was very light, but at the same time it's just demanding. That's what I liked. That you could be
Hmm.
demanding with love,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and then Sandrine is just like absolutely bonkers in that I came and Sandrine had notated the entire court of ballet.
I was going to ask you, can you tell me what they all had done like prior to you being there, and if they were really just taking everything from you and then helping to coach
I
for
mean,
all
I think
three
for
of them?
Sandrine was the only one that did homework, but that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, no, 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 because that's
That's
normal, right?
like,
To not,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that Sandrine just felt like it was a super, I mean, it's just a very complicated ballet and there's a
Yeah.
lot going on. And so it was just a huge help that Sandrine basically knew the ballet from the first day. And it's also helpful, like you don't have to, like she had notated it. So the process of rewind a video, look again, blah, 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 isn't there, because she could just look at, I'd be like, I'm sorry, Sandrine, is this like, is this the right or left leg? I can't do it in my
And she just
head right
has
now.
it.
And she just go, I have left.
Wild.
Really? Yeah. It's very helpful.
Well, because the
So
other thing too, I think like I guess that was why I asked, is because generally I do believe it is, I don't want to say normal. Generally, you will find that the people in the front of the room, the artistic staff that's there for the company, is taking everything from the person who's there as the repetitor. Like they're
yeah.
learning the ballet as the dancers are. So like you have that added responsibility to also kind of like teach them the ballet so that they can then take it and coach it and cultivate it and take
Yeah.
care of it.
Because
So
they
that
are
was
doing
why.
it. Yeah, they're continuing to do it next year. They have an 8 show tour of the Netherlands where they'll be performing it.
Oh, how cool. So then they will
Yeah,
be the ones that will be taking care of it. So they took
custodians
all
of the
their
ballet.
notes and yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
how
and
cool.
they were all great. It was, yeah, it is. There's nothing you can do except be yourself, I guess. But in the end, that was good enough for them. I felt like they were all such wonderful support for me, and like, I'd hear Larissa be like, "Why you do like that? Michael never did like that. You do like Michael did." You know, that sort of thing, and it was just very, very cute. I mean, there are just three. There are three things I feel like I have against me going into any situation.
Hmm.
One, well, not any situation in Europe.
Mhm.
One, I am American, and it's
Right.
possible that people have a prejudice against American dancing or style, or maybe they merely have not been open to it. So I also enjoy that a little bit, that task of like I have to teach why we like doing it this way and
Hmm.
not just say this is wrong or this is bad.
Just
But you
different.
know, every school of ballet, there of course we all feel defensive and like we are the um yeah we're the
Like we do it
we,
the right way, the way we do it
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We and of course part of that is good, but then yeah, so I wasn't sure if people were going to be interested in what I had to say as an American.
Hmm.
Secondly, I am young relatively.
Work.
Wow. Last time,
I'm
yeah,
kidding. No, of course.
no, no,
Yeah.
but it is true. So then,
Hmm.
you have to establish some sort of authority in that way,
Hmm.
to get or trust to get people to,
Hmm.
I'm not
You haven't
like,
been doing this for 30 years, for
yeah,
example. Right.
yeah. So, and people don't, and then the third thing is that I didn't have like a big star career, so people don't know who I am. And, maybe that would be an easier access point. Like if I had just been a principal dancer that showed up from New York City Ballet and was like, and then people would
Hmm.
listen to me. So, but
Right.
ultimately, all of those things that could be, not setbacks, but obstacles towards trust and communication, I felt like were totally fine. And
That's nice.
yeah, I loved being with them. It was, yeah, I was really by far the saddest I've ever been at the end. I was just like, I couldn't believe how quickly it was over because you do hit a middle point, especially when I'm in the middle of the teaching process. I taught it in 10 days. So, did really well with that. I felt good about
Wild.
that. Um,
And what did Alexei
um,
say when he realized that the ballet had been set in 10 days?
I think, well, I mean, he was just like, oh, impressive. I don't know. He's like, he's so funny because I think he just is so, he lives like moment to moment. He lives in the present, it's
Hmm.
like he never put any pressure on me because he was going to be there. So it's like, of course, if it's bad, I can fix it.
Right, right,
It's
right.
like it's
Yeah.
his
Or he might want
ballet.
to make changes anyways, right?
Yeah. He didn't end up making too many changes,
I was
which
going
I
to
was pleased
ask.
with. Because
Interesting.
I hoped that meant that we made a good case for what he did.
Well, it's a great
Um,
ballet. I love it.
yeah.
So good.
And I really love the
Had you
ballet.
seen it before live? I'm just realizing probably not, right?
No, I had not seen it until the opening night. Yeah.
Oh, isn't it so
Yeah.
it's like, and I know obviously you watched videos forever and ever, but I was part of the creation process and then I was injured and I never got to do it. So for opening night, I was in the audience and I think we kind of talked about this with Marina Hars when we were talking about
Mhm.
her book about Ratmansky, but just like the layers that you're talking about at any not at any given moment, but when there's a lot of people on stage, there's generally like three or four different things happening in those
Mhm.
layers. You can't imagine what they look like when you're in the steps, but
Right.
then like when you're in the audience, it just creates this effect that you could never even fathom
Mhm.
when you're doing it. So it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a great ballet. I'm so glad.
Yeah, and I think it tells the story so well,
Hmm.
and it really packs an emotional wallop at the end.
Crying. I was crying. I remember at
Oh
the end.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
Stunning.
And
Hmm.
the way it ended up in the premiere was that, so let's see, how can I tell this as succinctly as possible? So we know it's a story ballet. I think we've
Hmm.
mentioned the plot in previous episodes, but I'll try to just run it down real quick. It is based on Hans Christian Andersen's The Ice Maiden. I don't know how loosely, but it's whatever Stravinsky kind of laid out for this. Um, and so a woman and her child, like infant, um, are in the woods in a snowstorm, and she dies, but a fairy stumbles upon the baby, bestows it with a kiss that protects it, but comes with the it's not a curse. I don't want to call it a curse. What would we call it? It's a spell, I
Provision.
guess. Yeah, yes. That, while he's saved on his wedding day, she will come back to reclaim him for her, as hers. So he will never know earthly happiness or romance in that way. So on the wedding day, there's a whole sort of Odile-esque moment of deception. She does a
Mm-hmm.
pas de deux with him, dressed as the bride, because he's waiting to see his bride. It is the wedding day. And so he sees a bride, and with some extra magic, he thinks it's her, but then he takes the veil off to kiss her. And that's it. He sealed the deal. So she takes him away, but there's a scene in that moment where he does get to say goodbye to the fiance. It's sort of a little pas de trois, like a little trio section, and that's to this really beautifully orchestrated section to Tchaikovsky's "None But the Lonely Heart."
Mm-hmm.
So another thing about the ballet, which we covered with Doug in our recent um,
Re-release.
re-release, is that the ballet it yes, it's Stravinsky, but it strings together a lot of different Tchaikovsky melodies that are often considered minor, but to me very beautiful. And one that he uses is this song "None But the Lonely Heart," Tchaikovsky like exact melody. But I'm gonna pull up. I've read the lyrics um
Oh.
to the dancers because I just thought it was so. I thought it was like in this moment, this is what you, as the fiance, should feel.
Oh.
And let's see. I'll read you the lyrics now.
Okay.
It says, "None but the lonely heart can know my sadness, alone and parted, far from joy. Heaven's boundless arch I see spread up about above me. Oh, what a distance dear to one who loves me. None but the lonely heart can know my sadness, alone and parted." Yeah, I think there was something it was a little bit darker, the translation I found. I think this is the like Americanized
Mm-hmm.
version. Oh yeah. "Alas, who loves me and knows me is far away. I'm dizzy, it burns my entrails. None but the lonely heart knows what I suffer." Yeah, very sad,
Very
very
sad.
dark. So I read that to them on the first day, but then it ended up being in the premiere. The young man and the fiance, they're seeing one another. They're dating.
Oh,
So there's really, I mean, the chemistry was
the right thing.
gangbusters. Yeah. So yeah, I was very
Oh,
happy about that
that's so
moment.
fun.
And I mean, I was happy about everything. It was just really beautiful.
I'm curious, what so if you were to set this ballet again, it's so especially so great because you had all this time with Alexei because who knows if you did it in the future, if you would be able to have him for that long. So I wonder kind of what additional note taking you did when he was showing stuff and talking about things because
Girl.
he's such a coach, right? Yeah.
I mean, the process is just so funny because I thought like when he got there, I felt like I would have less to do, and it was
You're like,
not the
chill
case.
now. No.
Every day, let's see, I took a flurry of notes, like everything. I tried to write down literally everything he said, which
Hmm.
is just not possible. But then the ballet masters record every rehearsal. Like they pretty much record the entire thing. So I go home and watch the rehearsals again so that I could write the notes out again. So
Wow.
I'd use my own notes just in case I couldn't hear something. But yeah. So I just was taking notes all day, every day, and then like basically retranscribing them because it's often, especially once you're in the theater, it's impossible to read your handwriting in
In
the
the dark.
dark. Oh, it's so bad. I need to come up with a better method for that. I mean, it's fine because I come in the morning. Usually, you don't have any time to do real notes after. So then I would spend like I wake up in the morning and do that, fix my notes, and then come in
Mm.
organized and ready. But like when you first look at it, I'm just like chicken scratch. What is this? I cannot tell. How am I supposed to tell Tim where he's supposed to be? If this,
Right.
it just looks like like grabbed it a pencil and it's like just scribbled not
Like a
nonsense
toddler.
on yeah like a toddler. But yeah, when he was there, it was very. I mean, it's exactly what I remember. But it's like we've said this before. I think it's about great. We said this about great dancing in particular in regard to Jeanette Delgado, who is the fiance in the original cast. And like I can sit there and conjure up memories of Jeanette dancing all day, every day, and just be like, oh, makes me feel so good. And then when you go and you actually see it, it is so much better than that. Like it's just a
Mm-hmm.
memory is, and that's how I felt about Alexei in the studio. Like I remembered him
Mm.
working. Like I was just like, oh, that was so inspiring, and it like pushed us to our limits. And like, but it's just like then when you actually see him in action and just someone who's so in control of their own artistic intelligence and output and the way that he coaches so thoughtfully and demandingly. Same thing like I was saying, like with Larissa, he's not gonna tell you it's good if it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to think of some of the funny things he would say, but
But
it's
he's
just
so
so
gentle with
charming.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he'd just be like, Ellie, what days were bad today? Oh, let's see.
Let's try again.
You know,
I can picture that. Yeah.
I keep saying Ellie. Sorry, Ellie. I keep using her as example of them. No, no, it's this is our non-specific examples, and it's just I'm sorry, Ellie just keeps popping up into my head. I loved everyone I got to work with, but there were the principals in the ballet
Mm-hmm.
were the people that I was just very bonded to because of the way that we had the rehearsal schedule. So once Alexa got there, I was able to set the whole ballet before he got there, which was a
Mm-hmm.
huge win. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah.
I had a few more days to work with people, but then from then on, I was always with him. And he was always splitting time between Firebird, which was also his ballet. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a double Alexei bill, a double Stravinsky bill, double story ballet bill.
How fun.
And it was a great program.
Oh, I bet.
Um, but he was splitting his time between the ballets, and the court ballet obviously can't be in two places at once, but they had mostly cast the ballet so that the principals could focus on one ballet or another.
Mm-hmm.
So Ellie, being one of my female leads, she did the fairy, and she's it was very I know Ellie's done other principal parts and is this beautiful dancer and has had opportunities, but to me it was very, as someone who didn't know her before, it was really giving. This is Ellie Tona, I think, I don't know how to say her last name, Ellie Tonov. I don't know, something European and chic, just been born. I was like, it was really that I felt like I was like Balanchine watching Suzanne for the first time. I was like, not. I mean, I made that weird. Sorry, Ellie. But I just was
No,
so fun
yeah.
to work with someone who's so talented and young and hungry. And so I was always in the studio with her. And Tim was her young man counterpart, who was also just so fabulous and brought something to the role that was completely different from the original cast, but still
Mm.
such poetry. And like I told Tim like a few days in, because the first day we were started doing it, they had never danced Ratmansky either as well. So
I was
they
going to ask you that. Okay. The whole
yeah.
company? No, right?
No,
No,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
company used to be like one of his main
That's
go-tos.
what I thought. Okay.
And it's basically just, I think, primarily been because of COVID. Like, let's say, the years add up.
Mm-hmm.
If they had done something in 2017 of his, and then maybe a plan to go a few years later, which would have been long for them. But then it was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, and then it's really long because we cancel all that because of COVID, and then it
Delay
finally
and
comes
what? Yeah.
back. So most of these dancers, a lot of them was their first time. Um, so Ellie and Tim, though, it was their first time, and we ended up in the studio a ton together. And it was just fabulous. I had two other wonderful couples. Um, I'm not gonna say everyone's last names. I really
No,
tried there for a second, but it's
it's
just
okay.
why butcher it? So we have Anna T, who is like diva queen, incredible dramatic interpreter. Um, and she was paired with Victor, also principal dancer. He unfortunately didn't make it to the premiere because his back went out, but he's going to be back in the
Oh,
run. And then another group, principal man was Young and his partner was Yuan Yuan, and she had to do both ballets. So she just did amazing work. Like,
crazy.
yeah, she was originally not going to be the fairy, and then they decided that they were just going to make it work for her, even though it was like a huge workload. And she just was so fiercely intelligent. She learned the ballet in like 2 seconds.
Wow.
I didn't teach her the ballet. It didn't make any sense to me that she just came in. But
Mm.
we know how that is.
We know
But
how
what
she
was
does that.
weird was she knew counts. I was like, you are something stealth is happening here because like we all learn off
Would they have
video,
sent
and
her
that
rehearsal videos maybe?
maybe, yeah. Or she just, I don't know. I think she probably
She
just
just
asked once, she's like, Ellie, what is it? And then Ellie's like, it's a 5 and a 7 and 3/4. And
she's like,
then
got it.
she's like, okay, yeah, like really, oof.
It's in the vault now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
But they're just, they were all so different. And I was very happy like the first day Alexei got there, and I have no working relationship with him in this capacity. And the last
Sure.
time I worked with him as a dancer was 7 years ago on this ballet.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what our relationship or dynamic would be, but I did feel strongly like I had to make a plea for all three groups to get out there because even though there were only 7 shows, everyone had worked really hard and was super deserving of it. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, of course." Like on the first day, I was a little nervous. I was like, "I just want to say something. They're all like, everyone looks so amazing, and it would be a gift to the audiences to see all three. They all bring different qualities. We'd be depriving them of something beautiful if they didn't all get out." And he was just like, "Stop talking. It's fine."
Like,
It's like I
well,
trust you totally. It's great.
that's so nice. Well,
So
yeah, I mean, that's something, I know that you are so good at doing things that you would have wanted as a dancer. And so as a dancer, if you had put the work in, you would have hoped that someone would advocate for you. And so I get that. And he's like, but see, he trusted you on it. I love that because I can see that
Mhm.
he can perceive everyone in the room, right? He like knows what everyone's doing at
Right.
once. And I'm sure he saw even 7 years ago that you had a mind for this and could do it. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
That
Well,
he did.
he had worked some of those dancers, most of those dancers he had worked with before.
Mhm.
Young and Victor, who were two of the three young men.
Mhm.
Young was the young man, I remember. And Anna T, the Queen
Mhm.
Bee. Um, and he'd worked with them. And so, but I was like, I really like Ellie and Tim, like, because they were the
Mhm.
ones that were maybe they were originally written out as third cast, and that. And I was like, I know you don't know them. And then, of course, once he saw them in the studio, it was like, oh, they're fabulous. I just,
Mhm.
and like they did. So the general, what they call it, the general, is the dress rehearsal.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
basically a show. So it's
do they
full.
do
The
photos
house.
like we would do? Oh no, there's like people there.
Yeah. People. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. They don't sell it, but it's somehow populated with people.
Maybe it's like donors, stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
But I still had to take notes and things. But
Mhm.
it was a little like, oh, it was a little hard because I wanted to just be in the moment too. It was my last time I was going to get to be present, like watching Ellie and Tim, and
Mhm.
so like I wanted to have like for me, a mental goodbye. But I was, taking my notes, doing my job.
Chicken scratch in the dark.
And, he just said like little things about them that were so like, he'd just be like, that was so beautiful the way Tim did this, or like, oh, Ellie, I just love her. And I felt so happy that he validated my opinions.
Mhm.
Not that it is about that. Of course, I'm happy that he loved them and that they were having this like, you know, like career altering moment. Hopefully, like
Mhm.
something that they're going to look back on as like a pivotal point in their career. And just to keep going on that, like Alexei is he's so kind and encouraging and I think really does believe in people, and like the flexibility of his own work is so great. Like he wants everyone to look good. So oftentimes he's also not precious about anything. He will change it if he's not working for you. He's not going to force you to sit there and just do it until you're blue in the face and tell you
Mhm.
like bad.
Mhm. But if he knows you
Then
can do it, he'll
Right. So that
right.
was like,
Yeah.
it was oftentimes, oh, wow. I miss this energy because it is so exciting to be like, then you have your ballet mistress. And then I go over to Larissa and be like, but do we think he wants that? Like, is that just for Anna? Like, or is this an Ellie and Wanwan thing too? And then he, like, the next day it would be Wanwan's rehearsal and he'd change something and we'd be like, are we doing this across the board? Or like, and we'd have to make all these kind of choices on the fly. And it was so funny. Even the performance, in the performance, Tim, before. comes up to me. He's like, Michael, just so you know, he just cut those arabesques in the finale. Don't think I didn't do them. Okay. You know?
You were like, run home, make a note on your phone so you don't forget to make a note.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I just want to say too, so because I think you sort of mentioned this, but for people who aren't totally sure, when you're taking notes in the audience, you aren't taking your notes. Like Alexei's telling you his notes. Well, both maybe.
Yeah, it's both, but he is so just he has so many ideas and it's just constant outpouring from him that it's very little me. Usually when I go home and watch, because I told you know, I go home and watch again, because they film everything, which is so helpful.
That's so amazing.
But when I go home and watch, it's oftentimes like the first time I've seen it.
Right, because you were just like so like taking notes and stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
I
don't look
reason
up.
why that's so. That's interesting. I had never thought about that. Really, that's interesting.
But usually, what I do, my method is I star my own notes, so it deprioritizes them. You know, like if I have 10 minutes and I can only get through, of course, I'm gonna put the choreographer's notes in first, but then I'll go back and do my own if I have time.
That's funny. I like remember when we were dancing, like the ballet mistresses writing notes and looking down, and it's probably true. Like they probably barely even saw the run because they were just like frantically writing down whatever the choreographer or, you know, repetitor or whatever said. I hadn't thought about that before. That's funny. Because that's like another added element for it. At least you already knew the ballet and all of that. But if you're trying to also learn the ballet too.
Yeah,
it's a hard job.
I mean, sometimes I have to then I just play the whole ballet in my brain again to if I can't understand a note that I wrote of his, but I'll know it's between these two moments that I could read my handwriting, you know, and I'll be like, okay, so what is this in between thing? And I have to just play detective. I just play the tape in my own head of the ballet. I just go do the steps in my head, and then I'm like, okay, oh, that's what it was. But it's funny. It's such a fun job. I really, really love my job, and they made every day of it so wonderful, and everyone was so welcoming. I mean, Ted Branson, the director who we've interviewed, he was so lovely the whole time I was there. Came to rehearsals, was so encouraging, very open to anything I had to say. It's just very nice. It's just sometimes still a little disorienting having outward validation.
We were talking about this. You know, I know.
We talk about, imposter syndrome is very real, and it can just be so weird. Like I was saying, I would have I won't use a vulgar expression. I would have been very uncomfortable. I just think about auditioning for TED, how nerve-wracking that would be. Dutch National Ballet, you know, its status and its, history and importance, and going to try as a dancer to try to impress Ted would have been so terrifying. And now I'm just in Ted's office, and Ted's
hanging out,
such a great job, and it's just giving me support that I don't know. It's yes, I'm on the other side of things, and it's much easier, but it was also an interesting reminder of how much pressure we put on ourselves as dancers, and that a lot of that is just our own doing.
Well, just the three things that you have to overcome, the three things you gave me that you have to overcome. I bet none of them thought of that really, but I understand it's we just can't help ourselves. We automatically put ourselves in that position, even though. Right. But I hope that with each one of these staging, it I have to imagine it grows your confidence in. You know, it's just like anything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you feel, the more you can feel comfortable in your strengths and what you're doing. But I mean, honestly, it sounds like the scariest thing ever to do that.
But it really is so much easier now. Yeah, but it is just because this is staging number 17, I think.
Wow.
It's really been so many now.
17 ballets or 17 stagings? It's got to be more than
17 stagings. But I was trying to think of all the ballets I've done. I can't, because I've done a lot of increases. I've done, I think 6 increases. So that's the bulk of it. But no, increases in rodeo and ballet and what else do I do for We Are the Rabbit, and
Mm-hmm.
then I did The Dreamers, and I did another ballet piece called Sea Change once, and now this. So yeah, I don't know. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was just really special and magical, and I felt like it was like all a fever dream. Like now I'm just back in New York, and I'm like, did that happen? I think it's
Mm.
also like it just this is the longest I've ever worked on something. It was a half a year of my life getting ready for this,
Right.
and it was always this like mountain looming that I had to climb, and then it's just so weird to think of, like, I know this is strange, but like even just looking at the date, like the date I had burned in my
Right.
brain for so long was the premiere, like June 16th. June 16th, most important date in the world.
Right.
Wait,
And
was
now
it
it's
the
past.
15th? Would I live
Ah,
on- You know what?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it was the
I
15th. Oops, that was Saturday. The 16th was when I left. Anyway, yeah, and now it's like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, it's June 19th, and I'm like, wait, it's over? Like I don't know. It's like I don't know. I don't know how to
no, I
explain
know
it. It's just
exactly
very
what you're
strange.
talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel like there's always those like moments that you are looking for. And I know because I also love your stream of consciousness text that we would get. Like sometimes in our group text, you would just be like, just watching Renan crying. And we were like, wait, what? Oh, I'm like, oh, right. Michael's just in fairy kiss land like constantly. And they would just
Yeah.
kind of come in and out. But it was fun to kind of like go through the memories of that ballet with you as you researched it.
Yeah. Well, we just don't have like the plus another thing that was nice about my artistic team, like it was just fun. We don't have that sort of friend connection. That's why, of course, like, and when you're a dancer, you are always surrounded by people your age and that are your peers that you've known for a million
Mhm.
years, and you can always talk about these things. And so that's why I'm like, I'm not staging this. I was staging the ballet alone. So I'm like, that's why
Right.
I'm going to text you guys. Like, it's not like you and me huddled over a computer together doing this. It'd be
Hmm.
way more fun if it was.
No, I
uh,
get it. Yeah.
but yeah, and then to have the artistic team there, and there were days where like I was like Joseph and Larissa are just both so fun and funny, um and
We like
Sandrine is
debrief
wonderful
with
too. It's just
them.
yeah, it was fun to
Yeah,
just feel like part of a team. That's what I liked, and I oftentimes miss.
of
It's nice to
course.
be a part of something larger than yourself.
Well, and you love to debrief after work. We would all always get together
Yeah,
and be like, "Ugh, talk about what happened today."
yeah. But everyone seems super happy, and I was very, very happy, and I
Good.
hope I get to see
Yay.
them all again. Like they feel like it's just it really the only thing I can think of it is like sending your kids off to college. Like that's what the premiere can feel like. And it's weird because because you start as the stager to matter less and less,
Hmm.
and you're pulling away. Like I'm only there for the premiere, not pulling away. I'm invested, but like that's it. Like I'm on a downward trajectory where like they're still ramping up. They still have their whole run of shows, and
Hmm.
like they're becoming more confident and more exhausted and more invested and immersed in this world. And um, and so it's just we start to like go in different
That's interesting.
on in
Sure,
different
because the hardest part
planes.
of your
Yeah.
job, the bulk of it's all at the beginning. Not all of it, but
Yeah.
it's really, really heavy right at the beginning and concentrated. And then it kind of starts to like trickle away as you give
Mhm.
them the ownership of the ballet.
Yeah, and then it's like that's the premiere. They're sent my kids off to college.
Did you
My kids that are
cry?
some of them. Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm a deeply sentimental person, and yeah, yeah, I'm gonna miss them all. I even,
Mm,
yeah, I didn't really cry in anyone's face, so that's good.
very
But
good.
I had my very good friend Ben Wiseman, who's one of my oldest friends. He came to see the show, the premiere
That's
with
so
me.
fun.
And we used to like we did productions when I was maybe 7 or 8, or like around then was when we started, and we would do like in the driveway or in our living room. Like we together would make these productions of Swan Lake or Sleeping Beauty or Carmen, Nutcracker, of course. But he was like, I just think of us back then, and like to know that you were gonna do this, and like I can't miss this for anything. So that was
That's
very
so
special.
sweet.
Yeah, he's the
Oh,
best, and yeah,
that's lovely.
yeah. Well, it's over now, though.
There's more to
No, there will
come.
be more. There will be more. But it is also like now that I've done so many stagings and I've never really gone back anywhere. I've gone back to some universities, so I've worked
Hmm.
with some kids twice, but I've never gone back to a ballet company again. So there is a little bit of a harsh reality that like goodbye probably is goodbye. Sad.
Okay, but it's only still, and I do always go back to it's like COVID just put a total wrench in in
Hmm.
everything for that. Like you probably would have returned to places by then if it by now if it
Hmm.
weren't for that. I think you will for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but it's just then you also, I don't know. We're also adults getting older and we know how these things go. It's like it's just like any dance career is like that could have could be it, and that's also fine because
Hmm.
you still get that moment forever. And sometimes trying to repeat it could not be as beautiful or successful. So we'll always have a fairy's kiss in 2024. And
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so glad it
Yeah.
went so well. Well, that's great. Well, Mikey, I'm so
Yeah.
glad we got to chat. I'm seeing you in like a week.
Oh, we are. Oh, yeah, it's so soon.
It's so
Uh,
soon. We're going to our
it's very
friend Lexi's wedding at the end of next week. Be so fun.
Lexi, another Fairy's Kiss OG cast member.
Yes.
Oh yeah, just like there was. This is fun because there was everyone. I had to tell people their originals names. It just
Hmm.
got too complicated to not do
Sure.
that. So it was fun and funny to be like, Lexi, come here. You know.
That's good. I like that. That's fun. And then we'll be in Vale very soon after that. So we're
Mhm.
looking forward to that.
Always. I'm going to go see um, our good friend and Vale Dance Festival artist extraordinaire, James Whiteside, perform Onegin tonight. I'm gonna go basically right after this
Oh my gosh, I'm so
podcast. So
jealous. How fun. I can't wait to
I've
hear who it
never
is.
seen Onegin. I'm
Mm,
very curious about
I
it.
haven't seen it
There's
either.
there's a section in various kids I call Onegin because it's like the Tchaikovsky melody. So
Hmm.
it's used in the Krenko Onegin, but
Hmm.
Stravinsky also used it for the Fairy's Kiss score.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just be like, we're gonna take it from
That'll be
Onegin.
cool. Yeah, that'll be cool to hear
Yeah.
the similarities. Well, I hope you enjoy that. Say hi to James and we'll see him soon. Tickets for our live events are going on sale very soon. So if they're already on sale by the time we release this, we can put it in the link in the show notes, but otherwise we will be sharing it as we
Mhm.
roll out. And so we're looking forward to that. We'll have some preview episodes coming up. And so thank
Yeah,
you to
and
everyone for
if
listening.
anyone is in Amsterdam, the show is still going. So
There you
go see
go.
my favorites. Go see my children, all my children performing in Fairy's Kiss and Firebird. They are so out of this world, and
Mm.
yeah, just so
And
proud
if
of
you're
them.
not there, get on a plane and go see it.
Yeah, go see them.
Wait,
It's
did
world class
Alistair get
dancing.
to
I said
go? I
that
know he wanted to.
he's going later. He's
Okay,
going
but he's going to
later.
get to see it.
I said I think I said this to Ted. I don't know. I said this to someone, but I was like, the opening night performance, I was just like, this dancing is so good. If you put it on any stage, like if it went on a tour, when a company wants to present itself, and if this was at the Met Opera House tomorrow, it would have raves where people would be like, these dancers are stars, and like the
Mm,
vitality, the vibrancy, but it's everyone,
right.
yes, I love that I got to spend so much time with the principals, and that's why I was very bonded with them. It was like us alone all day. Sometimes it
Hmm.
would be funny. It'd be like me, Larissa, and Joseph doing a solo, like be with just Ellie or just Tim, like three of us.
Like all day
And I
long.
was joked. Yeah, I joked it was like the Varna panel, like we're judging, like we all hold up our numbers after. Um, but what I was going to say was like it reminded me of what I felt like Miami City Ballet was like in our day, where like every individual was giving in a way that you could watch them the whole time. Like everyone was so invested. Like in the premiere, I was just so blown away by how alive the entire company looked. Like they all danced like it mattered so much, and it reminded me of the best performances that we were a part of when we all cared. So I was very proud.
I love that. Well,
All right, but
congratulations, Mikey.
Thank you, Diva. I'll see you next week, and I'll let you know how this show goes.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll be back soon.
Thanks, listeners.
Bye, Mikey. Conversations on Dance is part of the ACAST Creator Network. For more information, visit conversationsondancepod.com.